Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of night. Allen Ginsberg, as you remember, quoted from Dade Murphy in Hackers. You remember that?
No.
And the teacher was like, nice. He's like, but you're not supposed to be in this class. And he's like, no, I'm in this class. And Angelina Jolie's like, nah, he's not in this class. And then just grabs the paper right out of the teacher's hand. And the teacher's like, hey, he's in this class. And Dade Murphy said, told you give me time. That's from Hackers, the movie we are not reviewing.
Cool.
So I just want you to remember that. And Allen Ginsberg is slightly tied to this movie, which is Flashback, which we'll be covering today. Mike seems alarmed, which is covering all the bases. I'm introducing us. I'm Paul. This is Mike. We are a podcast about obscure and often overlooked films. We are Rabbit Troop Sucks.
Uh-huh.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome to the starry dynamo of Rabbit Troop Sucks. You remember that English teacher from Hackers? And he's like, nice. And I want you to think that the whole time you're listening to this podcast. Nice. Was it nice, Mike?
Well, that remains to be seen.
Well, Flashback 1990. At last, the feds have caught him.
Finally.
Infamous 60s radical Huey Walker is heading for jail. So how come it's Huey's uptight FBI escort who ends up behind bars? How come? How come he's not with a starry dynamo of people and Allen Ginsberg and some howling and all those things? Why not?
I don't know. Okay. We'll find out though as we walk through this.
And Mike's back. Hey, Mike, you're not via remote. You're not like in the ether and the clouds. You're like next to me.
I'm in the room now. I'm back here in the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, all better.
They stitched you up and they put holograms in you and rhinestones and gems. I think that's what they do at the hospitals now.
Right. Yeah, I'm like not the $6 million man. We're on a budget here. But
well, if it was like Japanese animation, they would just take out your black goo and just replace it with a crystal.
Oh.
I think that's what they did.
In what?
The pharmacy.
In the anime.
Near the pharmacy adjacent.
Okay.
I went to Safeway. I was in the cereal aisle. They gave me the crystal. I know.
Was it a prize for one of the cereal boxes?
Well, you should question why was black goo in you.
I don't know. I have been rewatching the X-Files, though. There's a lot of black goo and people in that show.
Oh, I hear the cops.
Oh, God. They're on to us.
Wow, we're not even adding our own sound effects, and this is pretty apropos for the movie. Yeah, how's the X-Files reviewing going?
Yeah, it's great.
Reviewing.
That show's great.
Yeah, I saw that some Millennium was noted.
Yeah.
How's the Millennium?
I took a break. I'm watching all of the X-Files universe shows in chronological order.
Didn't The Lone Gunman have a sideshow?
They do, and I'll get to that. That's the season after where I'm at right now.
Is there beyond a season 1 of The Lone Gunman?
There is not.
That's unfortunate.
It might be fortunate.
The Lone Gunmen are alive in my heart.
Yeah.
There's probably a podcast alone. There's probably like 15 podcasts.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. Those guys probably have a podcast.
They should have a podcast. That'd be great. I should look that up. How can I look that up in today's day and age?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Tomorrow you can go to the library. There's still a few that we have that haven't been closed because of meth. So go to one of those. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that you can find like a periodical. You can review some microfiche maybe. Mm-hmm. I think that's how you find out stuff.
I love microfiche.
Yeah.
I love microfiche. I love wearing it. I love looking through it. I love sniffing it. If this was Project Runway, this would be like the Avant-Garde episode where you get like microfiche and you got to make a dress out of it. Mm-hmm. And that'd be great. I'd watch it. And they'd probably like play part of the microfiche in the background as the models walk down the runway.
Yeah, no, that checks out from what I understand.
Which is like exactly what Flashback is about.
No, that's basically the crux of this movie.
So we got a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
The director was it Franco?
I don't know. I didn't really look up anything about this movie. That's a lie. I looked up a lot about this movie, but nothing consequential.
Again, if only I had the technology to do this. The director, it is Franco.
Here. Okay.
Franco Murray, best known for Monkey Trouble in this movie. So there's that. Dennis Hopper is in this movie. Kiefer Sutherland is in this movie. It's revealed that Kiefer Sutherland is supposed to be 26 in this movie. And I think somewhere in my notes, I'm like, that can't be right. I'm like, maybe that's right. Is that crazy? I don't know.
How old was he?
I don't know. I'd have to do some math. Okay. I just thought he'd be older. Kiefer Sutherland has always looked a bit older when he was younger. I don't mean that as like who he is today. I think he's like a very well-aged, good-looking man. But when he was younger, I mean, think Lost Boys. A lot of the people in the Lost Boys were kind of baby-faced. I'm like, damn, Kiefer Sutherland. Or like, it'd be like, all these kids are 18, but Kiefer Sutherland's the 21-year-old buying them beer. Like, that's that's the vibe I got in the Lost Boys on that. But that's kind of what I was thinking. But yeah, so Kiefer Sutherland's in it. Carol Kane, who I adore, is
Carol
in this
Kane
film.
is amazing.
And I'm gonna say it from right now. She is my favorite part of this movie. I don't know what Mike's reaction to that was. I don't know if Mike's gonna walk away with a favorite part of this movie, but
Yeah.
it might be Carol Kane.
He was 24.
He was 24 years old.
Yeah, he just looks like shit.
I don't think he looks like shit.
No, he doesn't, but he looks like he's 40.
Again, it's like, hey man, it's not even like these are the 18-year-old kids. Like these are the 16-year-old kids in the Lost Boys, and their 21-year-old cousin buying them beer. So yeah, wow, he's 24.
So he is younger in this movie than Richard Grieco was in If Looks Could Kill.
Wow. I don't know what to say. But again, I feel Kiefer Sutherland became like mid-20s at the age of 16 and just looked mid-20s for like 30 years. So bravo to you. And he doesn't look bad now. Just, wow. And they had to age him up. Well, they had to lie about his age. Like he's older. Like, geez, wow. Okay. Yeah. That's great. That's crazy. Yeah, then there's other people too that you'll recognize. Michael McKean, which is one of my favorite people on earth. And as I was talking to Mike, like one of the only surviving core members of Laverne and Shirley still left, which is super sad. But that guy's awesome. So yeah, lots of fun cameos. Those cameos are really going to help me through this movie, I think, going forward, because this movie takes a super weird turn. I don't know. Mike and I have never heard of this movie. I shouldn't say that. I have heard of this movie. I remember the cover of this movie, but I knew nothing else about this movie, and neither of us have seen this movie. That is correct?
That is correct.
So, yeah. And I thought this would be, again, like some weird kind of comedy action film, which in ways it is. And Kiefer Sutherland would be like, like I got in trouble and somehow handcuffed, which he does, and tries to get the person he's pursuing. But then there's some turns in this movie, and I guess we should have started.
Yeah, let's just.
And we started with Big Audio Dynamite.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about that.
I don't know what to say about that either. This movie has every song you can think of from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Soundtrack is honestly super solid all throughout this movie.
Yeah. That's true.
So I got opens up with a bunch of commercials from the 80s.
Yeah, it's like an 80s montage of like commercials and things that were of concern in the 80s.
And Mike noted there's a Denver lottery commercial that appears, which is awesome. There are, and I think we announced this last podcast, that there are scenes from Denver and where was the other location?
Glenwood Springs.
Glenwood Springs. Yeah. And then I think it's San Francisco is the rest. But yeah, there's moments in Colorado where they're just trying to highlight that it's Oregon or Washington. So
yeah, that was really weird. There were a lot of scenes of Denver, there was one scene in particular, but it was, anyone from Denver would go, yeah, that's obviously Denver.
Right.
Like I can see that from here. But we were pretending it was in San Francisco, which was weird.
That's how you do it. I don't even have a rationale why.
Yeah, honestly, I don't either. Maybe they forgot to shoot that scene, and then they got to Colorado to do the rest in Glenwood Springs, and they're like, we need a train station.
We're all flying back to New York, but on the way back, we need to stop in Colorado for no reason, and I'll bring you to this Union Station, and we're just going to happen to film a scene.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, it's a nice historic train station.
Yeah. Okay. So, so we see a little bit of all of these things that we're kind of skipping around through, but it starts off with Kiefer Sutherland. His character is John, and John walks into the head of the FBI's department or office, and the head of the FBI is going to give John a mission that, hey, have you heard of this radical Huey Wilson? And he has surfaced after 20 years and he did some nefarious things, and you need to get him and escort him to where in Washington?
Spokane.
Yeah. And that's it. And we find out they're going to take a train there, and Kiefer Sutherland basically does that. Goes to get this guy out of jail.
Yeah.
You're just winging this? You don't have notes?
No, yeah, I'm looking at the notes. No, but I'm kind of winging it. Yeah, so that's the main goal here. They can't fly because Spokane is fogged in, so they have to take the train. So they go to the train station in San Francisco, which is Denver's Union Station.
And my notes were Denver Union Station. What?
Yeah.
What?
Well, on the front of Denver's Union Station, there is a big marquee that says travel by train. Mm-hmm. And maybe they really wanted you to know that they were taking a train.
They were.
But yeah, I mean, the outside, even the inside was very clearly Union Station. Like there were maps of Denver and RTD signs. So for the keen viewer, you can tell it's Denver. That doesn't make it more interesting.
I mean, for the clear Denver populace that listens and tunes in weekly, I mean, in the droves, write us. I mean, did you meet Dennis Hopper? Were you at that Union Station? Were you working there that day? Were you walking by the street? Were you jogging by? Were you helping an elderly woman cross the street? Were you a suitcase? Were you a popcorn vendor? Were you? What were you? What were you then? Hashtag then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we are now maybe 5 minutes into this movie. So now Kiefer Sutherland is leading Dennis Hopper around.
You say Keefly.
Yeah.
Or the elves.
The Keebler Sullivan is leading Dennis Hopper around. Dennis Hopper
He's from Canada.
Is very he is from Canada.
Keebler elves live in trees.
Are you asserting that all Canadians live in trees? Is that why there's a leaf on their flag?
I'm saying maple comes from somewhere.
You don't want to know where maple comes from.
I'm just saying. Do the internet research, people.
Don't let the lamestream media fool you. Yeah, so Dennis Hopper's handcuffed. He looks like a fucking hobo, and this kicks off what for me was maybe the worst 30 minutes of any movie I've ever seen in my life.
Is it getting on the train?
It was just getting on the train, like everything that Dennis Hopper says, because Dennis Hopper did not stop talking from this moment until 30 minutes have passed.
Hey man, peace, man. The world's changed.
And it was insufferable.
So, okay. I'm not disagreeing. I'm trying to put this into some kind of context for the listeners. If clearly you have not seen this film, Mike is not incorrect. But something that irked me a little more in all of this is beyond there's the drone and on of like this hippie like jargon that is clearly well past. Did Dennis Hopper just thaw out of a cave? Because the way he's talking about things is like he has no access to the media, any understanding of technology. It is like time is frozen, because there are moments where Kiefer Sutherland's checking his watch. He's like, oh, like, does it do this and that too? I'm like, but you've seen other people like in...
Right, you know what a watch is.
And you know about magazines and books and television, and you've been talking about it, but somehow...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was a lot of hippy dippy stuff. And he was just complaining like, man, this isn't groovy. Like, look, I'm handcuffed. Like, the man is bringing us all down, and like, you don't even know, because like, it's like the director said, "Hey, I want you to do an impression of Woody Allen trying to do George Carlin's stand up," and that was the next 30 minutes of this movie. It was a lot of like, man, and like, oh, the major bummers, and like the community and the system, and like the man. My God, it was terrible.
Would you call this a monkey trouble?
I was in monkey trouble. because of this.
I felt I felt this was like Trading Places when they get on the train, like that, like the end of the movie scene.
Yeah.
Done absolutely wrong. And,
Sure.
and longer.
Yeah.
So every like there's a lot of moments where I'm like, this really reminds me, just almost aesthetically, not that they're just on the train, like some of the camera angles, how people are sitting, kind of some swapping in and out, like like someone's being handcuffed, someone's in a monkey suit. Like there's kind of like these bait and switches and stuff like that. And I love Trading Places, and it's not an obscure film, so we both like it. We watch it pretty much yearly. I think this is just the opposite of that. So that was crazy.
Yeah. Dan Aykroyd in blackface was less offensive to me than Dennis Hopper in his stupid hippie wig.
Oh yeah.
It was it was terrible.
That was quite the hippie. Oh yeah, so I'm going through because I have a lot of side notes too, and normally I don't have as many side notes, but a lot of it's about the music because the music is awesome all the way through. There's also there's a lot of Easy Rider allusions, and I noted that because we took a quick break, and then quickly Dennis Hopper actually says something. He's like, "Yeah, it's like we can't all be just watching Easy Rider and stuff like that." I was like, "Oh my god, this got super meta."
Yeah.
And
because he's talking about, he's like, man, like I sold all my belongings and I bought an Indian. An Indian, it's a motorcycle, man. You wouldn't know because you're a square. He's like, I know what an Indian motorcycle is. Like, well, whatever, man. You're a suit and you're a stuffed shirt and like I'm on my Indian riding down the coast. Like, and then like literally 10 minutes later, he's like, it's just like an Easy Rider. Like, okay.
Yeah. It's really weird. And Dennis Hopper almost describes his character. He's like, when I was in the 60s, and he's kind of describing his character from Easy Rider. And then, as I said, like very quickly, he's like, we can't all just watch Easy Rider, and that's like the actions we're taking. You got to do more in this world. And then this kind of went on and on and on.
Yeah, if I hadn't have been watching this movie in a professional capacity, I would have turned it off at this point. I'm going to tell you that right now.
That's fair.
That is how I feel about this movie to this point.
That's fair. We got a little Canned Heat all down the road, rolling right into Rolling Stones all down the line. The music keeps getting, I shouldn't say better and better, just constantly, surprisingly, just equally as good.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about this with other movies that are hard to find. I'm betting that the reason this movie is not as well known as it is, and we had to get this on a DVD.
Yeah.
It's probably not streaming anywhere because the music rights would cost $5 billion.
Right, and I've noticed with a lot of DVDs, and I don't mean Blu-ray, I mean DVDs, that they were released apparently in some kind of rush. It was like, you could do all this, and now it's like, whoa, you want to remaster stuff, and you want to do stuff with this? Like, nah, and then you run into music rights, and that's, again, I think Mike had like an old copy of this, or I don't know, someone had a copy of this, but it was definitely a weird DVD watch. I think we've watched 5 DVDs throughout all this. We usually are like, go to Hulu, go to Plex, go to Freevee and stuff like that.
I suspect this movie is going to be released somewhere pretty soon, though.
Well, we are trailblazers like that.
Yeah.
Take that.
Once the mainstream media gets a hold of this podcast.
Hey, man, that's some hippie jargon, and if you just grow some flowers and, put them in your pancakes, you're going to be better off.
I was thinking about making pancakes tomorrow morning.
Pancakes would be dope. You can put flowers in them.
No.
Well,
I don't think I have flowers.
Not even on the Sabbath.
I'm going to use flour to make does that count?
Sabbath flour.
That's like a cool metal band.
I have a non sequitur into nothing. I've been thinking about this all week. I don't know why I've been thinking about this, but in certain like role playing video games, you could cast like a spirit breaker. Like sometimes it's not even a spell. It's like someone just has like the ability. Like you're not even like a wizard. You just like could spirit break. And I was thinking about this, and the ability is basically you do it a couple times, and your opponent stops fighting you because they've lost the will to do so. And I thought, wow, I was playing these kind of video games as a kid. That is super messed up, and I'm only getting that now. Like, wow, you basically turn someone suicidal. Like, you got onto their social media. You've been stalking them. Like, because again, you're not a wizard. You're just like someone with a skill set. You're like Liam Neeson in Taken, gone wrong. And man, that person doesn't even want to fight you. How messed up is that? I was just thinking about video games in general and like that, how they've changed over the years. I'm like, some dark shit.
To tie that back into this movie, Dennis Hopper's performance.
Spirit broke you?
Spirit broke me tonight. Yeah.
You heard it. Mike was spirit broke.
I was. I was just sitting there weeping on the inside, taking tearful notes about this stupid fucking movie.
Is it like is like a karate chop to the throat spirit break? Is it like a gentle knee to the nuts? Is it like right in the bread basket?
It's like getting the wind knocked out of you. Like, you know nothing's actually wrong, but you can't breathe and it sucks.
And then like in Pet Cemetery, like someone cuts your Achilles tendon with a knife and you're like really
You just
bummed.
give up, yeah.
Your spirit broke. Wow, Dennis Hopper, spirit broke Mike. I love it.
He's such a good actor, and I don't know what happened here.
I like Kiefer Sutherland as well. I mean, he's definitely been in some clearly Dennis Hopper as well, back and forth films. I don't really blame them in this film.
No, I mean, this movie is full of good actors who are punching way below their weight class.
Yes. Yeah,
like Michael McKean, him and you recognized his counterpart, who we'll get to in a little bit. They sucked, but I like both of those people.
I liked a couple elements of them in this
I liked the crux of their characters, but everything that they did, I was not a big fan of.
So to slowly go through this movie, we kind of learn about these characters, and Dennis Hopper, clearly this, 60s radical, has been on the run. He's wild, he's crazy, but is he? There's so many illusions, so many heavy-handed illusions all throughout the film. He's not as crazy as you think he is. Whoops. And Kiefer Sutherland's supposed to be the straight man.
Yeah.
And Kiefer Sutherland is like, I think they tried to set him up like, you're going to have the dual roles of a lifetime. You're going to be the straight man, and then we're going to find out maybe not so much as well. So we see this at dinner. Dennis Hopper is allowed to go to like the dining cart, and he's like, oh, I want, steak and some wine. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be good. No wine, but I'll take the steak, and I'll take some onion rings and a milkshake and some wine. No, I'm just kidding. Like, what a rascal. And
Kiefer has like the worst, most boring dinner order.
I shot Mike the side glance, like, get out of town with this. He orders on a train, grilled fish, no salt, no oil, side salad, no salad dressing. I'm like, dude, get out. Also, this reminded me in Grosse Point Blank when Martin Blank orders an omelet with nothing, and the waitress like kind of hassles him like, don't you want anything? Like, that's not technically an omelet. He's like, I'm not here to talk about like like word meanings and like like any of these.
I think as long as it's folded, it's an omelet, right? Or if there's nothing in it, is it just like a frittata?
I don't know. I think that was his thought. I'm not here for the semantics of what it is. Like,
also, is Grosse Point Blank like an obscure movie?
I'll do it.
I 100% love that movie.
The last time I saw Grosse Point Blank, me and my wife went to the Paramount downtown.
Okay.
And John Cusack was there to talk about it afterwards.
Cool. I remember when you guys went to that. Yeah, I adore that movie. And I love Dan Aykroyd. And his performance in that movie is like the perfect blend of good acting and super crazy Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. Like, I felt, for me, that was like a 90s revival of Dan Aykroyd. Like, oh my God, you're amazing.
Like that, if that was his Pulp Fiction Travolta role.
Nice.
But then it continued to go nowhere, and he just made like weird skull vodka and went crazy.
Where does like Meet the what's a Christmas with the Cranks?
Yeah, Christmas with the Cranks.
Whoa. Where does that fall? Is that after or before Grosse Point Blank?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know when that movie came out.
Crazy.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, so he orders this really lame ass dinner,
and then does highlight, I brought my own salad dressing.
Yeah, well, he said that, but do we believe him?
Chris Traeger from Parks and Recreation here,
right? So the dinner kind of goes on, and
we get a Kinks song.
We get okay, yeah.
Last of the steam powered trains. Still going great for me in the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack definitely played songs that in the lyrics explicitly described what was going on in the movie, which was kind of nice.
It's like when you were a kid and you got those book audio narratives. It's like, as the train went along, the kids were very happy. Turn to page 2.
Right.
As the train went along, the kids were very happy.
So now we come to the first of the events in this movie. They're playing chess after dinner for some reason, and Kiefer Sutherland is drinking his mineral water, and Dennis Hopper starts clowning on him real bad.
I'm sorry, Dennis Hopper or Master Jedi Dennis Hopper?
Yeah.
Because what unfolds and is now a ping pong throughout this film becomes Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah. That's accurate. Like sleight of hand and mind games. They should have played head games for the soundtrack at this point.
Nice.
Because that's what's going on. He's like, hey, you know, by the way, I don't even remember how he broached it, but he's like, oh, by the way, I put acid in your mineral water.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't want to be super bored during this train ride, so to kind of liven it up, I gave you some acid in your mineral water. Don't worry, I did some tablets too.
Yeah.
Got in prison, so.
Yeah, and so he also, we find out he maybe manipulated the chessboard when Kiefer Sutherland wasn't looking, so that he thought the game had gone on longer, and he missed part of it.
And Kiefer Sutherland also put down his watch. And so later in the movie, just to spoil this, Kiefer Sutherland's like, how can you explain any of this? Because he did not really give him acid. And
Right.
as a viewer, I'm like, he did not give him acid.
Yeah, that was very clear.
We're all aware he didn't give him acid. And basically Kiefer Sutherland straight up turns around and is, I think, talking to the wait staff of the train. And Dennis Hopper just leans in and moves chess pieces.
Right.
Like, how did he do it?
Like, oh no, yeah.
Oh my God. Like,
magic.
I didn't know we had David Copperfield in handcuffs.
Right.
Like, geez. Which, fun enough, this guy could elude any handcuffs
Right.
ever
He's getting
put
out
on
of
him.
handcuffs left and right. But so Kiefer Sutherland is now freaking out because he's starting to believe him.
Boom, Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Child kicks in.
Right. He's like, you got to get me some coffee. And Dennis Hopper's like, no, you need a downer. You've had too many uppers. What you need is tequila and a beer chaser.
And wait, I want to insert very clearly, anyone listening to this, this was your opportunity for a tequila ad. We could have been your go-to.
Yeah.
Rabbit Troop Sucks brings you tequila. Like haven't you like super legit been drinking tequila?
Yeah.
Hasn't been your go-to?
Yeah. Well,
And Mike would have named names.
I would have named names, and I'll withhold that until we get the cash. But what I have been also drinking a lot of is mezcal, which is actually what they're drinking because you can see it on the bottle, even though they say tequila.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they start doing shots and drinking beers and getting all fucked up, and then they get into a fight, and there's like some fisticuffs, and then like
There was a woman that Dennis Hopper was eyeing earlier, like, oh, what a cute woman. And I honestly thought they were in cahoots since like the beginning.
Well, maybe they were, maybe they weren't.
Well, then he calls her over and is like, they concoct a plan.
Well, yeah. So what happens is Kiefer Sutherland, I can't say this dude's name.
Keebler Elves. We talked about it. We talked about
Keebler Sullivan yells at the guy that works on the train, like the bar hop or whatever.
Training.
And he's like, hey, like this dude made me take acid. I'm all fucked up. You got to get me a doctor.
That trainee might be a literal whistleblower.
Maybe. So this guy's like, oh, fuck, okay. And he goes and leaves, and he comes back with this woman. And he's like, are you a doctor? She's like, and she has some kind of weird nondescript accent.
Scandinavian question mark.
Yeah.
is how I would file that.
And because you mentioned Trading Places earlier.
Yeah, this totally reminds me again.
Yes. Yeah, this was my Trading Places moment.
Like hello.
Yeah. She's like, I am a nurse. So maybe she's a nurse.
Mike, where was she from? Far
away. Maybe she's a nurse. Maybe she's not, because she doesn't do anything to help anybody. But they do end up getting Kiefer Sutherland back to the room, the train room, because he is all fucked up.
Yeah, so we learned two things. One, there's a plan. I need to get this guy's clothes.
Yeah. So
because he's like, you're not a hooker, and she's like, no. He's like, come on. He's like, well, pays the bills.
Well, yeah. So as they're loading him into the room, he's like, are you a hooker? And she's like, no, I'm a nurse. But he's like, but are you though a hooker? She's like, straight up, I'm a hooker. Yeah.
She says it pays the bills.
Right.
I was like, okay. I mean,
So he takes.
I was shaming anyone. I was like, why? What was the song and dance?
So he takes Kiefer Sutherland's wallet and gives her a big wad of cash. He's like, hey, why don't you fuck that guy who's passed out drunk? And she's like, cool. And then does.
Yes. But the most important thing I learned in this transaction is her name is Sparkle.
Her name is Sparkle. Okay, so fun fact, and the point of time that I'm bringing this up should give this away. There are 4 Oscar nominees in this movie. Not for this movie, but 4 of the actors in this movie have been nominated for Oscars. Can you list those four actors?
I would hope Dennis Hopper and Kiefer Sutherland are 2 of those 4 people.
Dennis Hopper is one of them. Kiefer Sutherland is not. He was, I guess most of his notable stuff was on TV, so he never got the Oscar nod, apparently.
Okay, I could buy that.
So we got Dennis Hopper.
Is this woman one for like musical performance or
yes,
really?
Yeah,
for music.
Yeah, she's a musician, I guess, and like had a song in the movie Rush.
Hell yes. This woman,
yeah,
who we don't know where she's from.
No, yeah, she's in this movie for 90 seconds, and she fucks a drunk person, but she was an Oscar nominee.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I have a ball with an octopus, and that would make sense if you're here, but you're not here.
Yeah.
But if I were to tell the future or to look into some kind of like technique, I bet we could find that woman on Eurovision somewhere.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Like that in the core of my being.
Yeah.
She's on Eurovision.
The other 2 were Carol Kane and Michael McKean.
I was gonna go Carol Kane. Wow, Michael McKean. Did you see what Michael McKean was for? And what's Carol Kane for? That's awesome.
I don't remember. She was nominated for a lot of stuff.
Carol Kane is awesome.
Yeah.
Carol Kane, for me, definitely, I think as a kid, most notably Scrooged.
100%.
She is the ghost of Christmas Present, who just beats the holy hell out of Bill Murray all throughout the movie. She is honestly like what I would imagine Tinkerbell being, just like, I'm kind of cute and gonna beat the holy shit out of you. Like, oops, boop, bam. Yeah, she's great. I love her voice. She's super awesome. And I think somewhere I have a note is Carol Kane the original Harley Quinn? Because I feel
oh yeah, probably
she's like so like the original Harley Quinn in the Batman animated series was. She's like really cute. Like I know they've like made her like super sexy and stuff like that, but like she was just more kind of cute. But like the cuteness was also in the wit. She would say like the craziest shit while delivering like death blows. And I feel that's Carol Kane.
I just recently got on board and watched The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Carol Kane is phenomenal in that.
and Kimmy's roommate.
Oh, Titus Andromedon.
Have they gotten to Define yet?
that show. I don't know why I slept on that for so long. My girlfriend watched it when it came out and wouldn't shut up about it, but I just never saw it until like a couple months ago, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, Carol Kane in that show is like half hobo, half vigilante. And there's a lot of other halves because that would make sense logically, having millions of halves, because when you're describing a character of that caliber in that show, it's amazing. But she's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's good.
Okay, so let's get back to this weird ass movie.
I guess.
So yeah, Dennis Hopper pays the hooker to have sex. Meanwhile he kind of changes clothes. He goes into the bathroom. He puts on Kiefer Sutherland's suit, takes his badge and gun, shaves, gives himself a nice haircut. He's looking cleaned up. He's looking tight. And Kiefer Sutherland is somewhere between drunk and hungover. And they arrive at the train station that they're going to meet the cops that are going to, they're going to spend the night with on the way to Spokane. And, we have a little role reversal here.
Where do you think they are at this point in time?
I don't remember. They said the name of the town maybe, but I mean it doesn't matter. They're in Glenwood Springs, Colorado.
That's true. They're at Union Station right now. Go to Snooze, get a pancake.
So yeah, he kind of pulls this guy off the train. He meets these 2 cops, and they're like, "What's the matter with him?" And Dennis Hopper's like, "Oh, he fell over." And the main cop, the sheriff, is like,
Hightower?
Hightower, yeah.
I'm going to remember that because I just kept thinking Police Academy the whole time.
Oh, I just kept calling him Rand.
Rand Hightower.
Rand Hightower. He's like, you know what? I've had some perps fall down too, like indicating that this guy is a piece of shit and he's not above roughing up people.
Yeah. So there's like no paperwork. It's just like, here's a guy and a badge flash. This is ridiculous.
Well, what I inferred is like, I don't think this was really explained, but what I gathered is that this was kind of a plan. Like the train doesn't go directly from San Fran to Spokane. Like this was a stop and they had to spend the night, and they arranged with the local PD to meet them at the train station, lock this guy up, and just keep an eye on him for the night. And then the next morning when the train leaves again, they'll be on their way. That's kind of the arrangement that I understood.
I agree with you 100%, but basically what was told to us, the audience, early on is the notoriety of who they have in custody. It would not just be like, hey man, we've got some dude, just put him in a cell for 2 hours and he'll get a train. It'll be like, holy shit, dude, we found like this radical dude that everyone in the world knows.
Yeah, like, he's like a celebrity criminal.
Yeah, like do not mess around. Like you need people alert. This is not we cannot mess around with this.
Right, but they apparently didn't know what he fucking looked like.
Correct. Or age.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Right, because when they walk up, they get it confused. So.
They wheel him.
Yeah,
they wheel him like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, he's on like a Hannibal Lecter, like hand
dolly.
Yeah, he's on like a moving dolly, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the piece of shit right here."
Hannibal Lecter dolly could be our band name.
Okay,
I'm gonna try to write that down.
Okay, and he's kind of telling the stories like, "Yeah, he's an army deserter. Like, no one likes this piece of shit." So the cops are all riled up. They're like, "Oh, we hate army deserters." So they put him in this cell, and they're like, "Hey, other guy in the cell. This is an army deserter." He's like, "I'll fucking kick his ass."
This was a super weird move.
Yeah, so basically, Kiefer Sutherland, who is somewhere between drunk and hungover and throwing up in the bathroom, well, by bathroom I mean the toilet that's in the middle of this holding cell. He's getting his ass kicked by the other inmate, by the cops. But everyone's kicking his ass.
Let's go back a second. So when he was turned over to Sheriff Hightower,
yeah,
he's like, what did he say? Like he had a fall down.
Yeah.
But he's like obviously reeking of booze.
Oh yeah,
even
100%.
like the local deputy who has him in custody. Like Kiefer Sutherland does like a small like passed out burp, and the deputy's like ugh, like kind of like takes like a step back because he's clearly just like burping up hard liquor like. Mm-hmm. like the guy's clearly reeking of booze.
Yeah, I mean they kind of fumbled the bag on this one a little bit, but I mean. Ultimately, the important part is that they threw him in jail and he got his ass kicked a bunch.
Well, okay. Oh, hear me out. We will see the sheriff's justice and his way of things corrupt very soon. Maybe his way of justice was he beats the shit out of someone and then boozes them up to be like, yeah, sleep it off. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, they've been trying to make us understand that this guy's a piece of shit cop.
So just maybe that was his tactic. Like maybe Booze was like, yeah, so you boozed him up. Hey, he's complaining about it, so I boozed him up.
But Dennis Hopper is like, hey, I know I'm supposed to like hang out here, but I just need to get some air. So he fucking pieces out of the police station while they're beating up Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, this is weird too. Like Sheriff Hightower's all nice. He's like, we have a cot in the other room. Like your train doesn't come for 2 hours. Do you want to take a nap? Do you want to lay down? He's like, hey, is that the exit? I'm out.
I'm going to leave through that now.
And then he goes to some weird pool hall bar.
Yeah, he goes to a dive bar where he meets Michael McKean and the other guy.
Yeah.
Who are like, they just got done with their softball game, I guess, based on the uniforms that they're wearing.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's Richard Moser or Moser or Mooser. And I'm sorry because I love this guy. He's in so many things. Sci-fi fans, if you're listening to this, you'll definitely know him from The Thing. He's in Risky Business. He's the uncle in My Girl. And he's the dad in License to Drive, which I'd totally do for this at any point in time. He's a very nice man, and Michael McKean I absolutely adore.
So they're like at the bar, they're super loaded already, and this was one of my favorite exchanges of the movie.
Or they're just like crotchety old men. It's like the Bruce Springsteen Glory Days song.
Kind of, yeah. So they're talking and they're drinking their whatever beer they're drinking. It was Rolling Rock. And this kind of like attractive, younger woman walks by in a tight dress, and I don't remember which one of them, turned around and kind of like leched at her and was like, man, like, women weren't tight like that when we were kids. Like, they got these machines now. Like, you just sit in it and like you do exercises. It's like, we didn't have machines when we were that age. All we did were we smoked pipes and laid on the floor.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Which is, yeah, like, okay. I mean, I wish that was my life. Just,
What? No.
just sitting on the floor smoking a pipe.
Is that a metaphor?
I don't know. Maybe. But that was my favorite line of this movie. There you go.
Oh my God, I did not hear that. It might be because I was writing that they were complaining, as I was saying so much as like, blah, 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 glory days, we're now old. And then they start complaining. There's like some more punky kids playing some pool. And they start complaining. They're like, they replaced all the good music. All the good music's out of the jukebox. You know what they have? They have some band INXS. What? Oh my God. And I was like, oh my God. And then I phased out. And maybe that's when they were talking about when they were kids. And all they did was lay on the floor and smoke pipes.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
how is that a drug? Do you want to come over to my house, lay on the floor and smoke a pipe?
yeah, obviously. That's listeners. That's how we record this.
That's how I met Lamar.
Yeah. So Dennis Hopper saddles up to the bar next to him, in full, like, wearing the FBI suit and all that. And I 100% don't understand what his motivation here was. But he starts talking to the two drunk guys.
Talking or Jedi mind tricking?
Jedi mind tricking. but again, like, I don't know what he was attempting to accomplish here.
Okay, I do. So he gets to the bar, he calls someone on the phone, and he apparently has this book deal in the works.
Yeah.
And this book agent that we gather through a very long-winded series of things. We understand the book deal's kind of off. This guy's now irrelevant. It's been 20 years. No one cares about this radical. It's not going to be a best-selling book. We later even find out, like, you'd be better off dead because alive, no one cares about you. So he's like, no one cares about me. I'm going to go talk to the drunkest people at this bar, and I'm going to name drop this guy. He name drops himself.
Right.
He is pretending to be John, an FBI agent, but he name drops himself just so he could get self-confirmation that he is still relevant, that he wants these guys to be like, of course that guy was awesome. What are you talking about? We loved him. He's not a criminal.
Well, and it works because both of these guys know who he is and are fucking stoked about him.
Yes. So they're like, what do you mean? You got this guy in the prison cell up the road? He's like, yeah. Like, what a piece of crap. They're like, piece of crap? Like, he was amazing. And we find out the biggest thing he did was there was a train that was leaving, and the last train car had Vice President Spiro Agnew, and he unhitched the last cart, and the train left, and oh boy, Spiro Agnew was so angry that he really lost it during that, and now they've been after him for 20 years. That is the story, correct?
That is the story, and all I can think about, because I'm old but not that old, my main context for Spiro Agnew is Richard Nixon's head from Futurama. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
It was a poorly thought out plan. I guess,
like, there's a lot of things 60s that maybe people would be sought after. Like, there were death threats, and there were, people like encouraging bombings and like real terrorist groups that were organizing. And this guy unhitched a train car.
Right.
Oh my God, Spiro Agnew had a real bad day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they were really pissed, and they probably would have pursued him and really thrown him in prison at that time.
Right.
But 20 years later, like, dude, like, you have $4 and like a Willie Nelson album on you. Like, what? No one cares.
No one does care, but he cares.
Yeah.
Well, so the plan continues to backfire because this whole thing gets him kidnapped by Michael McKean and other guy.
They're like, screw this. Like, we're going to break this guy out. We're going to be rebels. And he's like, no, don't throw your lives away. Just trying to weasel out of it. But yeah, they tie him up with Christmas lights and basically negotiate a hostage situation that they will give this FBI agent John back for Huey.
Well, yeah. And so meanwhile, back at the police station, Sheriff Rand, what's his name?
Rand McNally.
Hightower. He gets a fax from the real FBI, and it's like, yep, you should have this guy. This is his name. He's 49 years old. And as soon as he sees that 49, he goes, oh, fuck. There was a switcheroo. So now he has to go free the guy that he just spent the last hour and a half beating the shit out of.
Yeah, this is a real interesting move. He's like, listen, things happened. Just get over it.
Yeah.
You know, if you work with me, I'll work with you, and we can work out this together. Like, they shoved Kiefer Sutherland's head in a toilet.
Right.
They
prison toilet.
Yeah, they sucker punched him in the stomach. Like, the sheriff himself took off his jacket and just sucker punched him.
Right.
And then the huge man he's sharing a cell with has just been kicking him in the ribs.
And throwing toilet paper.
that was the opening move. He just took a roll of toilet paper and just threw it against his head. That was good. I like that.
But yeah, you're right. Now he's like, hey, mistakes were made. Let's just water under the bridge. Let's just, work together and move past this. And Kiefer Sutherland's like, okay, we'll worry about that later. But then the phone call comes in from Michael McKean, who's like, hey, we have your FBI agent. We want to make a trade.
Yes.
So now the wheels are in motion.
Yeah. Kiefer Sutherland's like, yeah, he's going to get his comeuppance. Like, we're going to go together. On the way over, he's like, I need handcuffs and a gun. Hightower gives him one.
Yep.
Or both.
Both, yeah. So they get to the destination. It's a bridge. And the two guys are so, Mike McKean and friend are so drunk. They kind of fumble this a little bit. They let Dennis Hopper out. And then they just fucking run off, I think.
For some reason, this whole driving scene reminds me of Groundhog's Day. So
you want some flapjacks?
Yeah, those two drunk guys like driving, like these guys are just drunk, like they're like drinking straight from a bottle of whiskey.
Right. They're wearing masks. One of them is wearing pantyhose as a mask, and he is drinking the whiskey through the pantyhose. Yeah. I don't know why that was funny for me.
Funny and gross.
Yeah. He was filtering out the impurities.
Yeah, so they're going to exchange at this bridge, and then the sheriff kind of rolls up, and he says like a bunch of like super shady shit to like Kiefer Sutherland. I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's like screw you, I'm gonna get you and stuff. I'm like, whoa, dude, you could have like gotten out of this like at least a little bit.
Right, yeah. The sheriff he's gone like full Hail Mary, and he's like, my only way out of this is to kill both of you.
So I kind of want to note right here, if we're at least halfway through this movie, this movie should have been super abridged up until this point in time. And right now, you could have had now a super cool film. Because Kiefer Sutherland, basically Dennis Hopper is a little bit in the know, but Kiefer Sutherland's like very quickly convincing, this dude's basically going to kill us both. We've got to get out of here. And Dennis Hopper's a little more like Jack Sparrow, like anything goes to get me out of trouble, like one way or another. If like I just keep going with the flow, I'll get out of it. It is his attitude, but there is more of a like alarmist. Yeah, you're right. Like, dude, we got to bolt. They just jump right off a bridge into a river. Bold move. Like you have to. Like you would have. Like it sucks. It's very believable for me because there was literally no other option.
When Hightower's like, "Oh, the gun I gave you, it's unloaded because I'm a piece of shit and I didn't trust you," and now fuck you guys. And then it's
very clear, like, I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to fucking kill both of you. There's a tussle and they jump into the river.
Yeah. So now this could have been like comical fugitive for me.
This is where the movie actually starts getting okay.
Yes.
For me. So they get out of the water and now they're in kind of like a survival situation, and Kiefer Sutherland's like, I'm from here. You need me, or you're gonna die in these fucking woods.
Yeah, I do like I admittedly I like all of these scenes. Like there is like a solid 15 minutes here that I'm like, this movie should have stayed on this course.
Yeah, and so that there's some bonding, there's some trials and tribulation.
Yeah, one of the things that I like is Kiefer Sutherland's handcuffed to a tree, but then because apparently sleight of hand, Dennis Hopper could get out of any handcuffs and flips it on him. He tries to bolt and he's like, "You're gonna die out here. Like I grew up here. I know exactly where we are."
Right.
And then Dennis Hopper comes back and lets him go. He's like, "Well, how about when we get down the mountain, you let me go?" He's like, "No."
Yeah. So like. Yeah, they're kind of bonding a little bit, and Dennis Hopper is explaining. He's like, "Yeah, there was no acid."
Wait, yeah, and before he says that, sorry, the one thing I want to note is that I actually wrote this quote down is Kiefer Sutherland does like agree to lead him, and as they're just trying to banter through the woods, Dennis Hopper is now switching places. He's like emotionally, he's like, if you didn't bumble this up, I would have been in a warm cell. Now I'm just in the woods. Now where people are hunting us. Like I would have been happy in prison. Like bullshit, clearly. But the exchange was, I would have been in a warm cell. And Kiefer Sutherland goes, "Yeah, greeted with a warm hose." I was like, "Whoa, dude."
Mm-hmm. And that's accurate.
It just made me think of Christmas Vacation. That's pretty low, mister. If I had a rubber hose, I would beat you. Whoa.
But yeah, so they're bonding, and yeah, he's like,
"Yeah, no acid."
He's fessing up. He's like, "Yeah, there was no acid." He's like, "But how'd you do it? My watch, the chessboard." And at this point, Dennis Hopper is handcuffed. He's like, "You know what? I just did it with sleight of hand." And he does this little David Copperfield hand thing, and all of a sudden he is out of the handcuffs, and Kiefer Sutherland is handcuffed to a tree.
David Copperfield hand thing is the title of my new sex shop I'm opening up in Denver, Colorado.
Phenomenal.
So if any spokespeople are interested, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, and so at this point, Dennis Hopper's like, "Well, fuck you, I'm going to leave." And I believe what Kiefer Sutherland did was he made wolf sounds to make Dennis Hopper believe that there were wolves. And this is why Dennis Hopper gets squeamish and comes back. Am I wrong?
I think there maybe was a real animal. Maybe,
well, because Kiefer Sutherland was 100% going, "Oh."
Yes, there. So maybe, and then we quickly see Kiefer Sutherland, and he is not in sync making animal sounds. Sure. I think they were overdubbed, but this is when
100%.
This is when he's handcuffed to the tree, I believe.
Yeah, no,
but he's let go.
Yeah, he is still handcuffed to the tree, but that gets Dennis Hopper back. They kind of make up, and yeah, they go on their merry way. Dennis Hopper steps in some poison sumac, which he doesn't believe at first, but then he starts itching. Then he has to cover himself with mud because that's the remedy.
Yeah, he's like, "I don't believe it," and Kiefer Sutherland's like, "Well, there's only one way. Like I grew up here." He's like, "It's gonna keep growing and growing and itching, so you basically got to take off your clothes and bathe in river mud." And then we get a quick smash cut too. He's in the river mud, and that's a trick.
It is a trick.
He's like, "You didn't have to do it. How does it feel to be tricked?" I was like, my Kiefer Sutherland, I think there's a world of difference between all that you've been through and having a guy put mud on his face in like the creek. So right. I think you're good, man.
Yeah. Well, they keep walking, and then, it becomes morning, and we find out that Kiefer Sutherland has been leading them to the
Rainbow Zen,
the hippie commune that he grew up in, which is twist number 3, I guess.
Yes. The next 20 minutes of this movie outside of Carol Kane is unwatchable for me.
Correct.
It is. So as I said, like the last 15 minutes or so, maybe 10, they're going on these misadventures in the woods. I love it. Like it's more fun. It's The Odd Couple. You've seen the story, but it's two people you recognize. It's still fun. It's a rated R film. It's adult. Cool. Then we get to this hippie commune, and it is an overbearing tribute to the 60s.
Yeah, well, so...
It's the Time Life music collection commercial that you saw as a kid. Like, remember these songs?
Well, so let's be legit about this. So they get there, and, it's like a barn, and there's a geodesic dome and all that. And then Carol Kane comes out, and she's like, "Oh, my God, it's you. It's free. You're back." We find out that Keebler Sullivan's real name is Free, and that his parents were hippies.
What would Keebler's power be in the tree? In the cookie tree when they're making cookies? Would it be like head of marshmallows? Would it be sprinkle champion?
I think he'd be sprinkle champion. Well, he is sprinkle champion because that hooker who fucked him is
Sparkle?
Sparkle. He's the sparkle champion. Yeah. Sorry.
Let's see a doctor about that.
Yeah. But yeah, so she comes out and now we're learning a little bit about his past. We're catching up. We're piecing some stuff together. Carol Kane knows who Dennis Hopper is right away.
Oh yeah,
and clearly wants to fuck him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, to all those things.
And Dennis Hopper is clowning on Kiefer Sutherland for his name being Free, and also for we find out he changed his name and like he joined the FBI because he wanted to rebel against his parents and a bunch of other stupid nonsense. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to read my handwriting. I'm like, what did Carol does something?
Well, now we get into the worst part of this movie, which is where they watch like some reel-to-reel clips of Free's childhood, which are played in real time and are 20 minutes long.
Yeah,
and it's awful.
So part of my notes were she takes them to like this back room. So we walk in. Mike and I were talking that she's got like a weird kitchen and she's working off like a wood burning stove.
Yeah, hippie stuff.
So Mike and I were talking about then wooden stoves are kind of back in style and a lot of people are trying to save money with them. Then eventually she opens up like door 2, which is like this is like the Time Life photo. There's like a hippie bus. There's like a second story with hippie instruments. There's all this like artwork. There's these things. Even Dennis Hopper is a little sickened. He says something like, whoa, like this is a little too much for me. I can't remember. He makes some kind of like joke.
Well, and then he sees the portrait of him that she painted.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes him uncomfortable and also maybe a little horny.
Yeah. And then, so Mike then noted, then she plays these reel-to-reels.
Yeah.
And I wrote, watching old reel-to-reel, and I underlined these 4 words. For all of my life.
Yeah, it was awful.
So now the allusions I made to those like, do you remember the time of the past? 10, 10, 10. Yes, yeah. Come like revival the past, like with Time Life's greatest classics, with our 47 CD compilation or 87 cassettes. You will receive all of the best of Woodstock, live Woodstock, like all this. Like it was nonstop, and I remember seeing those like 30-minute infomercials because nothing else was on TV on the 3 channels we had. And it was depending on where I lived in, so which state at what time, and these were the reels. Holy God! It was like, here's you and your parents, here's you doing whatever, and Kiefer Sutherland is totally breaking down. It's like, mommy, daddy. I was like, I don't know why this guy's really at odds. We later just find out. Well, I just wanted to do the opposite. I went to public school and it sucked. No one wanted to eat granola and like fruit I grew. I just wanted to eat pizza and be on the football team. I wanted to fit in. And this is how angsty he was that he no longer talks to anyone. Then changed his name and joined the FBI. So
But so now, now after catching up on the memory lane journey, he does a complete 180. He goes and finds his parents' old gun, which I guess they had for some reason. And they make it look like he's going to shoot, or he's pointing it at Dennis Hopper, who is still handcuffed at this point, by the way. Mm-hmm. And he just shoots the handcuffs off of him. Yeah,
and Dennis Hopper's like, man, we could have done this differently.
Yeah.
and he also says, he's like, man, when you change, you totally change. He says it either now or soon. Because Kiefer Sutherland is now in full ultra hippie mode.
Yeah, he's wearing a tie-dye shirt.
Oh yeah, he costume changed.
Yeah,
he probably made that tie-dye shirt.
Probably, yeah. Well, he had plenty of time in the 45 hours of fucking videos that they watched.
Well, hey, we're bringing it back. When you want to enter the starry dynamo, there's only one way.
No,
tie-dye.
Is that it?
It's like Rainbow Road and Mario Kart.
Okay. So now they're like, you know what? We're gonna take this old hippie bus on a goddamn field trip.
It's called the Huss.
They're gonna they're gonna take the Huss.
A Huss with Keebler at the helm
On a field trip. I don't really understand what their goal in all this was, but they're going somewhere. They're going to clear both of their names, or they're going to do something.
No, they are going to get, the plan is to get Dennis Hopper to Canada.
That's right. They're going to go to Canada.
They're going to create a diversion that gets Dennis Hopper to Canada, but kind of unknown what will happen to Kiefer Sutherland. He's kind of doing play by play.
Yeah.
Fast and loose, as the old Keith would.
So they drive to downtown Glenwood Springs, or wherever it's supposed to be in this movie. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's cops around. Kiefer Sutherland's boss is now here looking for him because he doesn't believe that Kiefer Sutherland went bad. He doesn't believe Sheriff Hightower. He thinks Sheriff Hightower is a piece of shit.
Well, because Sheriff Hightower is shady as hell.
Yeah, well, like, everyone knows it.
Yeah, of course everyone knows it. Like, he's throwing temper tantrums. Like, this is like Star Wars. Freaking out, like at one point in time, like he's like throwing all his like stuff off a desk. He's like yelling at people.
No, he's having a slight breakdown. Well, because he knows that if anyone realizes what he's done, he is going to jail.
Well, give it to Kiefer Sutherland's boss, like the head of the FBI, who's clearly no dummy. Like Sheriff Hightower's like, yeah, man, he totally just went rogue and took him.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, I don't believe you.
Yeah, he's like, cool. Like, I've worked with this dude for years. Weird move. I want to hear his perspective. And Hightower's like, oh, yeah. If we could find him.
Right.
Like, all right, shady dude.
Yeah, so they drive to the center of town where all these cops are around. And they park the bus like in the town square. And Carol Kane puts in an 8-track of Dennis Hopper.
I noticed that she has about 4 or 5 8-tracks, and conveniently, one of them is of Dennis Hopper's speech.
Right, and she plays it off of the PA system that this bus has, and as it's more hippie nonsense, but the townspeople are flocking and they're all crying and they're like.
I'm only laughing because it's true.
Yeah, like they're weeping.
They're so moved.
They're openly weeping. They're so moved by Dennis Hopper's little spiel here.
So. Here's the messed up thing, and I definitely appropriately want to comment about my negativity about this scene. The speech itself is about like anti-drafting and how the young should not go fight wars on the behalf of the government and stuff like this. And I'm not saying I'm opposed to any of that. It is just 100% out of context. Yeah. Like, so this movie came out in 1990. It is very clearly not 1990 in the film because it is referenced that it's still the 80s because like at the end it's like the 90s are going to be a hell of a ride or some nonsense. But
you don't remember the exact quote because they said it twice.
Yeah, so it's going to be Flashback, which is, spoiler, the name of my autobiography. I'm sorry, he stole it. But it's super weird. Like, can you imagine a van pulling up to like how about any university in America? Like if you're trying to get like a political like discourse going and stuff like this, like a van comes up and they're like they're drafting soldiers and they're sending them off. People would be like, what is this from?
Are
like,
they?
Yeah, it'd just be like, what are you talking about? Like this is what is happening? It's right, just out of context, and now everyone's moved by this speech.
Yeah, well, I mean, even in the 80s, we're still almost 20 years post-Vietnam.
Right.
Yeah, this would be like if someone pulled a van up outside of, like the campus downtown was like, there were no WMDs, and all the 20-year-olds are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like what are you talking about? Like, right. I'm so moved about what, like, out of context, what's happening. And they show all these like elderly people, and some of them are veterans. I think they're like, they had like pins and stuff, and they're like taking off their hats, and like there's weeping and a lot of nods. I'm like, what?
It was so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But while everyone's distracted by this heartfelt speech,
there's a bottom hatch, like the Millennium Falcon. To
yeah,
get out of the hippie
just
bus.
like the Millennium Falcon,
the Huss.
And yeah, they, Dennis Hopper and Keebler Sullivan escape out of the hatch with a little assistance from Michael McKean and his friend, who see what they're up to and recognize what's going on and create a diversion for them, and then fist bump each other 78 times.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And then Kiefer Sutherland and Dennis Hopper make their way to a train.
Yeah, they hop on a train that is destined for Canada.
Yeah, so they're like, we're going to get you on a train, and like you're eventually going to jump off the side and just live a cool life in Canada. It's pretty dope.
Right.
And I think, again, going back to Kiefer Sutherland's origins, Keebler Elves, Maple, this might be a PSA warning. This might be a recruitment video. Mike speculated that it was the soundtrack that maybe like licensing rights. Maybe people were like, they were really taking people out of America and enslaving them as elven cookie makers.
Is that how we get our cookies?
I mean,
Okay.
I enjoy those cookies. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Okay. But so the feds figure it out. Kiefer Sutherland's boss is like, I'll bet they're going on that train. So they jump on the train as it's leaving. And also Hightower also does this. So now everyone's on the fucking train. And
That's the name of a song.
Everyone's on the fucking train. And so Dennis Hopper's like, you know what? This is bullshit. Like, I can't let you go down. I'm going to pretend that you're my hostage. Just play along. People will see it. I'll jump off the train. You'll be cleared. It's going to be cool, bro. Man.
Lamb.
What
up, lamb? Bye.
Right. Yeah. But Kiefer Sutherland's like, no, man, we're in this together now. Like, I'm going to go with you, bro.
Full hippie.
Daddy-o, or what?
What?
That's not what hippies say.
You Homer Simpson?
Yeah.
Are you trying to blend it? Are you a narc?
Do not pay any attention to the gigantic hat. Yeah. So they're trying to sort this out, but they get accosted by Mr. Rand Hightower, who finds them, and he just starts blasting.
Yeah, he takes 2 shots off. He is doing that. Dennis Hopper runs off, gets onto another car. Kiefer Sutherland is shot twice. There's another tussle. Eventually, Hightower is just thrown off a train.
Well, yeah. So Dennis Hopper just fucks off to a different train, and Kiefer Sutherland's like, "Hey, Rand, don't be a dick. Like, we gotta work through this." And Rand's like, "You know what? You're right. I'm gonna throw my gun down."
Yeah. But he has a second gun.
And he's like, okay. But then he comes out and he has a second gun and he shoots Kiefer Sutherland basically in the dick.
Rand
McNally. That's how he found the dick. He shoots him in the leg and then also in the shoulder.
Use the compass.
Is that his dick?
Use the legend.
Okay. Yes. And he's trying to throw Kiefer Sutherland out of the train. But Dennis Hopper has a change of heart, comes back.
I watched Throw Mama from the train. I haven't seen that in
Oh, that would be good, yeah. I reference that movie a lot.
As you do.
Well, so, okay, quick sidebar about Throw Mama from the train. So in that movie, Billy Crystal is he teaches a writing class. And one of his more idiot students has the book that he's working on for class is called Women That I Want to Pork. And it's just a book of women that he wants to bone.
I thought I was about to serve them bacon and bacon candied goods.
But I referenced that a lot. So he throws Rand from the train, and that's...
Throw Randma from the train?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so basically Dennis Hopper is like, oh man, your boss is here and his assistant. And he's like, no. So he runs off.
Yeah, he goes back to the other train car.
Because Kiefer Sutherland insists. And then we find out the next scene is the assistant takes a shot off. He's like, you can't shoot at a man in a moving train. And he's standing by a bunch of explosive containers.
Right.
And
so throwback, he's trying to loosen the last train car to separate it, which is what he was accused of doing to Spiro.
And if we didn't say, we found out somewhere in all of this that he actually didn't do it.
He confessed a little bit ago that he didn't actually.
It was just a rumor. People associated that he was there. He said he would do something crazy. Someone misconducted what was happening who actually worked on the train. A rumor started. He took it. So not only as lame as it is that they've been looking for him for 20 years for uncoupling a train, he didn't even uncouple a train.
But he's
doing Mama from an uncoupled train.
But he's doing it now, and it works. He uncouples the train, and
Kiefer Sutherland's idea, trademarked.
Yeah, exactly. And he's kind of, his train car is drifting away. The main FBI guy's like, okay, we got him, and the sidekick's like, I'm gonna fucking shoot him. I can do it.
He should have trademarked it. If he was in Britain, it could have been Dragon's Den. We got Shark Tank here. What does Canada have? Like Maple Grove?
Yes.
The Mounties boot?
The Moose's Nest.
I don't want to go to the Moose Nest.
No, no one does.
Once you go to the Moose Nest, you don't come back.
No. But he fires a shot and he's like, you can't hit a guy on a moving train, but he does. He thinks he hits him.
And then
the train derails and it explodes.
Yeah, like I don't know why it derails. I mean, it's not going like ultra fast.
No, I mean, it was going slower than it was before because it's not being pulled by anything.
Right. So it already made this and then just derails and explodes.
Right, because it was loaded with like explosive tanks.
And that's pretty much where we're at. And then we get basically a cut scene where Kiefer Sutherland is okay. He's buying a motorcycle and he's leaving the FBI. He's going to hit the road and, figure some things out. He's got to clear his head. He's a man about himself. He's a man in the wind.
Yeah.
Does the wind have a name? Does the wind have a song? Does the wind have a color? Kiefer Sutherland will figure that riddle of a poem out for you.
Kiefer Sutherland?
Nice.
No, yeah.
Boom! Keebler Sutherland.
Yeah, so he quits the FBI. He rides off on his Honda.
Oh, he rides off.
He couldn't find an Indian, I guess.
He rides right off.
He rides right to a bookstore where he buys the newly published autobiography that is the title of this movie.
Yeah, this is just like honestly weird for me to see. I'm not saying this is a negative part of the film. It's just a dated thing. That he goes to like the local bookstore in San Francisco and like the whole window is this guy's book.
Right.
Wow, that just clearly doesn't even exist anymore. It was just like a sad note. Like we have Tedder Cover here. It's a bigger bookstore and that's awesome. The Colfax bookstore in Capitol Hill bookstore is awesome. But like these are like small bookstores. Like, oh my God, like I would never see this in a display window anymore.
That's gone.
Sad. Yeah, it's just sad.
But as he's, he buys his book and he's looking at it and chuckling and stuffing it into his Jan Sport backpack.
As you do.
And then he hears a familiar voice saying, "Hey, Daddy-O, I hear if the books are signed, they're worth more, man." And look at that. It's Dennis Hopper, but he's wearing like a white Miami pimp suit.
As you do.
And he's like, you know what? I realized the only way to be successful with my book was to fake my death. So now I'm rich, and I have this suit. And he's like, and Kiefer Sutherland's like, okay.
Yeah, he's dressed like he's from Miami Vice.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to do coke in his white limo, which he probably was.
He did.
And they kind of have a little catch up. And Kiefer, he's like, I'm going to go find my parents, ride up the coast on the Honda. Yeah, and cool. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Am I missing like a conclusion?
No, they're gonna stay friends and everything's great, and
right.
Oh,
and so Dennis Hopper says, what am I going to do with my money? Well, there's this old hippie farm that I think I might buy.
So he wants to hit up Carol Kane, Maggie.
Yeah, so he's going to go bang Carol Kane, Carol Kane. And live in a geodesic dome, I guess.
Yeah, he faked his death, and now he lives an alt life, and that's what you do. And that's Flashback.
I'm curious how he's getting the money for the book now that he's dead, but...
Oh, I'm sure you could just publish under a different name. I'm sure when this amount of money is at stake, a publisher could probably do amazing things.
Yeah, or whoever he was talking on the phone to earlier has his best interest.
Yeah,
I don't know. So that was Flashback.
It was.
Yeah.
It Flashback. Mike loved it. Mike was cheering at the end. Back in the day, you would light a lighter to encore, but now you flash your phone encore with, just putting your flashlight feature on. Mike was doing both.
Yeah.
I don't even know where he got a lighter, but he was juggling things. It was, it was amazing.
Yeah. What did you think of this movie?
I love the soundtrack.
Uh-huh.
I loved when they're in the woods. And there were people in this movie that had actions that did things. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't say I liked those parts, but I did like the parts in the woods, and I liked everything to do with the soundtrack. This movie is not good for me.
No.
A big thing on top of the cherry on top of this not being a good movie, the 60s are not a sentimental decade for me. So this
Right.
isn't like where I gravitate towards, and I think a lot of people would. So this might mean a little more to someone, but it does not for me. But even if you were sentimental about the 60s, this is a weird layer to a not good film that really droned on in a lot of ages. And,
Yeah.
or for a lot of ages in my mind, it aged me.
Yeah, if this movie had, I will go on record. I thought this movie sucked. Like there were parts of it that I really, really liked, but those parts weren't long enough to make it worth watching. I would not recommend anyone watch this movie.
When Kiefer Sutherland becomes a hippie, it is not good.
No, I mean none of it's good.
But it's just like now extra not good. Like just on him, like throughout the movie, when he's the straight man, I'm like, okay, this is fine. Then he becomes the hippie. It's just bad.
Yeah, I mean, if this movie had left out all of the weird, heavy-handed '60s nostalgia messaging, maybe there could have been something there. Because like the kind of like buddy team-up moments between.
Well, that's what I thought the rest of the movie was going to be like.
Some of those were
ducking
great.
in and out of a city or like doing something.
Right. If there was more of that, it would have been better. But yeah, like this, I did not enjoy watching this movie. Not really.
Yeah.
The soundtrack was good though.
Yeah, the soundtrack I would totally get into. I mean, my recommendation for someone who would want to watch a movie like this, it would be keep it a little more background. You don't really need to pay attention, and if you're just like wanting to see familiar faces doing kind of a trope you've seen numerous times, and you're cool with a killer soundtrack, great. But that would be my recommendation. More background than anything else. I don't think anyone does a terrible job. It's really the story.
I do think many people do a terrible job. Like Dennis Hopper, who I think is a great actor, I thought he was awful.
Yeah, he's not good, but I feel it's just like, I agree. He's not good. Like there's not a redemption, but I do feel the worst part is the story and the direction that he's been given. Like that, like, so I'm like, I feel like it's not really his fault. It's partially his fault.
Right. If it wasn't for the story, the direction, and the acting, this could have been a good movie.
Well, it's just not the acting. I was like, did you not fight for any of this? Like, as you were reading this, weren't you like, why am I saying any of this garbage? That's kind of it. Like, he was just given a bad thing.
No,
like
it was bad start to finish.
Yeah. So again, background. Carol Kane, I do feel was fun, even though her role becomes somewhat unbelievable and just ridiculous. She's still fun. I don't really care. Like I'd probably watch her in anything. So she is, for me, the absolute best part of this film.
Oh yeah, same. Like I have like a little bit of a crush on Carol Kane. I'll be upfront with that. So like yeah, anything that she does is like, I like you. You're fine. This is good for me. But yeah, her character wasn't very good.
No. Yeah, again, that was directly story, not on her.
Yeah. So I guess overall, like I'm more disappointed that this movie
totally.
wasn't what it could have been, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this movie definitely could have taken a different turn and should have.
Well, okay, let's cleanse the palate a little bit. Let's move on from this.
Let's do the quick. Hey, as always, if you have recommendations or like things to steer us away from, write us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up at rabbittroopsucks.com. That's our direct webpage, and there's shirts and weird things that you could get. You could write us directly from there, and some of you have. We totally appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%.
And then Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, and I'd like to say something, just a little bit of messaging here. So more people listen to this than I think either of us anticipated, which is great, and we're super grateful.
Yeah, there are people listening in other countries steadily. Like that is awesome.
Yeah, no,
that's so cool.
Like,
Thank you.
We love you guys. Like we like doing this, and the fact that people are listening to it is amazing. And we know you're listening to it because we have metrics. I can see this shit. What I don't see is so more people listen to this than we collectively know, but that is not translated into. What I'm trying to say is like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram.
Give us stars.
Yeah, throw a rating up on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. Like we have at this point given you what episode is this?
We're in the 30s.
We're in the 30s. We have given you 40 plus hours of free. I'm making air quotes entertainment or whatever this is. just, and we appreciate you listening, but, smash that like button, follow us, throw a rating up.
Also, that's super cool that people listen to us. So,
well, yeah. And, I know it's hard to get the word out sometimes, but obviously people are telling other people about it.
We have stickers.
We do have stickers, and we have t-shirts, and I don't care if you buy the t-shirts or not, but yeah, like engage with us a little bit. We know you're listening. So, if you're enjoying it, just interact a little bit.
Well, this leads us to our next movie, Mike. That
it does lead us
we
to our
really
next
appreciate
movie.
your interactions. We really appreciate any of you writing us, telling us, that you're having fun, and there are some recommendations.
Yeah. So, was it last week that was a listener recommendation?
I think by the time this is released, maybe a few weeks.
Next week will be a listener recommendation. The movie we have both seen it a long time ago. Six String Samurai, recommended by listener Kara. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think that is a fantastic recommendation. Anything post-apocalyptic,
yeah,
especially you throw in a little bit of comedy. Thank you for writing us that, because I saw that, I was like, wow, that is totally up our alley on that. And I responded with, I have definitely not seen this for almost 20 years, I think. Like,
oh, same. I honestly, guest host Chris and I watched this movie when it came out, because that was definitely up our alley at the time. But I've not seen it since that first viewing. Chris
is supposed to be on for a future film too, so we need to get that going. So we need to reach out to Chris and definitely get a timeline.
Yeah. Oh, this Six String Samurai also features the band the Red Elvises, who I saw at the Larimer Lounge like 20 years ago.
Were they awesome?
Yeah, they're all right. They're like a weird, like Russian themed rockabilly band. Like the bass player plays this huge upright bass that's like a big triangle. I don't know. They're kind of like more of a novelty act, I guess, and that's kind of mean spirited, but like, it's a fun show.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So that's gonna be fun. That'll be next week.
Yeah. So keep letting us know. Like, is there something you want us to review? Is there a recommendation you have? And especially because, again, this was one of the 4 or 5 episodes we've done that required DVDs. And luckily, some of us still have this stuff. Or, we could get it from the library, which is great. But, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, someone mentioned this to me the other night. A listener who has been going through the back catalog a little bit and wanted to watch Martin and Orloff, and mentioned that they got the DVD from Netflix. And that's when I learned that you could still have a DVD subscription from Netflix. It's not just a streaming service.
Well, kind of on the Rabbit Troop Sucks side, thank God.
Because go
do that.
So,
wait, why is Netflix not sponsoring us?
We
should reach out.
Yeah, they don't want to sponsor anything. But yeah, so, if you're having trouble finding some of these movies, you can get the DVDs from Netflix.
Hear me out. Let me try to do a promo.
Okay.
What is that? We've got to get out of here. Stranger Things. Whoa, my God, it's so strange. Stranger Things. Look, boom, it's writing itself.
Oh my God, it's like the Duffer Brothers are right in this room with us.
Stranger Things. Yeah, do you want to sleep tonight? I don't know. I want more Stranger Things. See, this is writing itself. And okay. Netflix, you could reach out to us with some Stranger Things. But yes, yeah, we only have gone through a couple DVDs. So ideally, if anyone's like, I watch Plex, or we go through like Tubi or Freevee.
Yeah.
And then clearly we've subscribed to stuff like you and I each have HBO subscriptions and Netflix and stuff like that.
I have subscriptions to fucking everything.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Subscriptions. Remember, the way of the future, Mike and I talked about this for years, is like, and I think comedians have talked about this. It was like, one day, we're going to break the chains of cable and satellite, and you could just pay for the channels you want. Because I'm sick of spending $150 to $250 on channels every month because I don't watch it. And then they did it, and they were like, "Oh crap! I think I'm spending more money."
Yeah, no, it's stupid. I will say, like, I think I spend less money on streaming services than I ever would have on actual cable. But even if I don't, I think it's more valuable because being able to watch things on demand is great.
And Stranger Things. Well, as always, enjoy the Sabbath because today's a Saturday.
Yeah.
And,
Did you roll today?
I roll the Sabbath.
Well, you can't roll on Sabbath.
You can't roll. You can't roll on Sabbath. I wish we could end off with like Eazy-E also like this movie.
I didn't even look at the trivia.
I don't think it involves Eazy-E.
Okay.
Good.
You know, so fun fact.
The first power in the Flashback.
This was ODB's favorite movie.
Start that rumor.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Rabbit Troop sucks.
Yes.
ODB.